welcome to our videos.
These were so easy to make. I always see wall hangings like this on Pinterest, so I thought it was about time I tried to make one. Something like this can retail for up to $300 on Home Depot or Wayfair, and mine only cost me a whopping $3 to make because I had some scrap wood. After cutting out the shapes, I cut some yarn from Dollar Tree into a bunch of pieces and started gluing them on. It's really important to pull the yarn taut when placing it on the glue so you can fit as much as possible. Each one only took me about 10 to 15 minutes to make, and it was actually super relaxing. I then steamed them and trimmed them to the length I wanted, and they were ready to hang. Like and follow for more DIYs because I wanted to change up our home decor, so I decided to try out those DIY vases that have gone viral. I went to Michael's and picked out everything I needed. Some girl in front of me picked out all the good pampas grass, but that's okay. I went to Dollar Tree to pick out my vases and grab baking powder. I picked out some paint in the color vintage white, poured that out to get started, and mixed in my baking powder. And you just want to mix it in until you get a good consistency that you like, something that's like clay-like. So after making a mess of myself, my artist boyfriend told me there was an easier way of doing this. So use this hack if you can. Just put a plastic bag over your arm and then paint the vase over your hand. No mess. So this is the finished product after painting. I went ahead and shortened my centerpieces, which are the bunny ears. No time for scissors. And this is the final look. I love how it turned out, super aesthetic-y. Love the old looking vases. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for the full video.
Do a DIY project with me. Come. So I was looking at these vases on West Elm. They was $140. Girl, please. So I went to Dollar Tree and went down their vase aisle where they have a wide selection of vases. These are the 3 vases that I chose. Then I went to the grocery aisle and got baking powder. Not baking soda, baking powder. So then I went to Michael's, went down their paint aisle and got a medium-sized bottle of black paint and 99-cent brushes. One big, one small. These are just extra little plants that I want to put in my vase. So then I mixed the black paint and the baking powder together until you get this grainy and frothy kind of consistency. Then you're going to do short, small horizontal strokes to give a realistic feel or texture to it. Then I did the inside of the vase. Then I let it dry 2 coats, and this is the final product for 12.
Decor DIY, and today I am doing a super easy renter-friendly headboard, and it actually costs under $25. So I got 3 of these foam boards from Dollar Tree, cut them to size of the existing foam roll. It was a 1-inch foam roll from Walmart. I used the excess that I cut off to actually attach the boards all together. I flipped it over, and then I hot glued the foam from Walmart directly to it with Gorilla Hot Glue. That's my favorite kind to use. And then I used a staple gun to just pull all of the fabric super tight and staple it down in place. I went back and cut off the excess, and then I used these command strips, which I pre-put together so that I didn't press too hard on the foam board, and that's what I used to attach it to the wall. I'm absolutely obsessed with the way this turned out, and it was only around $22 to make. Follow me for more.
Tables all over social media, and I really want one, but they're quite expensive, so I'm gonna DIY one. I found this table on the side of the road for free, and then I went to Home Depot and found this kind of like mesh metal material. I'm using this because it's sturdy enough to hold up the plants, but it's also really moldable and it allows for drainage. I just cut out the shape I needed, placed it on the bottom, and attached it with screws. I love the terracotta color of the table, but I decided to do the details in this lighter color to brighten it up a little bit. And then we went shopping for material to prop up the glass and for all of the plants. We went to the plant market and I went a little crazy with succulents. I put some gravel at the bottom to prevent soil from falling through and also to allow for drainage, and then I kind of styled all the plants. These legs that we got to prop up the glass were just a little bit too tall, so we cut them down and they were super easy to screw in. And the last step was adding some little creatures in with the succulents, and then the table was completely finished. I seriously love how it turned out, and if you do too, follow along for more DIYs.
Okay, I'm going to try and talk you through how I did this slat wall as quickly as possible. To start off, rather than using the traditional finishing nails, I used Velcro. Part of my thinking behind this is that I didn't want to go back through and fill in a bunch of nail holes, and this is more temporary, so if I decide that I don't really like it, after a few years it'll be easy to change. I basically just stuck a bunch of Velcro squares along the back of these boards and then pushed them up against the wall. I started with the centerpiece and then worked my way out. You'll notice these don't go all the way to the ground. The reason for that is because the bed's going to be pushed up against here. And these boards were a couple dollars cheaper a piece than the longer ones. You'll notice here I just turned the board sideways to use it as a spacer in between each board. Once I get towards the end where the bed won't cover this part, I went with the longer boards. And that's pretty much it. Now I just need to wait for our bed frame to get here and buy some new bedding. Let me know in the comments what other questions you have.
I bought these wooden curtain rings a few months ago at a thrift store, and today I finally figured out what I was going to use them for. Let's make a boho lamp chandelier kind of thing. The metal ring was the perfect size, so I used that to trace my cardboard. I cut a strip of cardboard and glued it around the outside. If you have the means to use wood, I would use wood. I used some cotton twine to tie the rings together, and once I had my first layer done, I began on the second. I added a new ring to the second layer and then would tie it to the first layer. I wrapped the twine around the outside and went in with some hot glue and E6000 to attach the wooden rings. I found this awesome bulb at IKEA, and I knew it would work perfect just because of the color and the tone that it gave off. Once everything was attached and ready to go, I hung it in my living room, and guys, I'm seriously obsessed with how it turned out.
Dollar Tree DIY, I'm doing a $5 side table. I grabbed 3 of their wire trash cans and I am zip tying them together. I used 3 zip ties in between each to get them secure, and then I just cut the excess of the zip tie off and gave it a coat of spray paint so that you wouldn't be able to see it. I did spray paint this little tray that I used for the top, but I didn't end up liking it, so I hot glued and E6000 a charger plate on there. It only cost me $5. Follow for more.
I've been really wanting a new pendant for my daughter's room, and I've been eyeing these ones on Anthropologie, but as you can see, that price tag is just too hefty, so we're gonna make our own. I found this lampshade from Goodwill for $5, took some jute and glue, glued down the first few strands, and then just started wrapping that baby up. This took about an hour altogether, and as you can see, all you do is keep wrapping it up and you'll get there eventually. Next up, we hang it up renter-friendly style with an S-hook and a puck light for the extra light. And there you have it, your Anthropologie dupe, all for about $10.
So I headed to Dollar Tree to create a really fun wall hanging. I picked up a plunger in the plunger section. I started by cutting off the little ridge section at the top, and then I grabbed some yarn. I'm going to create a hanger at the top. Next, I'm going to wrap yarn around a large piece of wood 14 times, and I'm going to create these bundles. Then I'm going to use some elastic hair ties to create little knots until it goes down into a V pattern, and then I'll just cut the excess off at the bottom.